It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. Now here's your host, Geno Jones.
It's showtime. What's happening, everybody? The Geno Jones Show. I know. You can see, you can read, you figured it out. So I come to you live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. in Chicago, 3:30 p.m. out in Los Angeles, 1:30 p.m. out in Hawaii. If you're chilling, man, I ain't mad at you. Please, you and everybody you know and don't know, everybody that you like, that you love, folks you can't stand, folks you're okay with, folks you hate, strangers, aliens from outer space, Tell them to subscribe to the Geno Jones Show YouTube channel and binge watch all my back episodes. So you heard me mention a story earlier this week. Tell you about a young man named Tyree Nichols, 29-year-old black man that worked at FedEx, that liked Starbucks, that liked to, he was a skateboarder, 29 years old, just really starting to live his life. He died after a traffic stop in Memphis, Tennessee, a city that I worked in for nearly 10 years, a city actually that my youngest daughter, Allie, was born in. So this young man, he died after a traffic stop for allegedly reckless driving. A traffic stop turned into a brutal beating, a murder. And that's just not my opinion. He was beaten by 5 Memphis police officers, who ironically all happened to be black. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. Today, those 5 black officers who beat 29-year-old Tyree Nichols to death, he died three days later in the hospital. His parents released pictures of his face swollen beyond recognition before he died, on a ventilator and everything else. All 5 of those black police officers that beat another black man, young man, 29, still almost a kid. I got a daughter. My oldest daughter is older than this young man, who lived in Memphis, who went to high school and middle school in Memphis, Tennessee. My son-in-law, her husband, is from Memphis. This could have been Jonathan, my son-in-law. Could have been my daughter. Could have been Boogie. They still live there. These 5 officers were all charged with second-degree murder and kidnapping. And they were fired almost immediately by the police chief of Memphis, who just happens to be a black woman. Leadership matters. I'm going to say it again. All skin folk is not kinfolk. Some people, some of the worst purveyors, some of the worst examples of anti-blackness and the reinforcement of this ideology of white nationalism. They call it white supremacy. There's nothing supreme about hatred, ignorance, fear, and bigotry, because this whole concept of whiteness is, once again, I'm going to keep telling you, it was made up. It's just a made up bullshit that was made up in the late 1600s, right around 1680s. Matter of fact, Google, and I've talked about it on this show before, just Google Bacon's Rebellion. So here's the Cliff Notes version of the Bacon's Rebellion that happened in the late 1600s, I think around 1679 in Virginia. You had enslaved Africans, you had Native American, indigenous people, and the poor working class whites. I think then there was a lot of like working class indentured servants who were white, who basically had to work, and they were working for, you know, the wealthy landowners, primarily, you know, from European countries, like England, the WASP, the white Anglo-Saxon persons. So Google WASP in case you don't know. White Anglo-Saxons, primarily from, you know, United Kingdom, that area. So they all got together and said, wait a minute, hold on. We are all being oppressed. We have these Africans that are enslaved. Native Americans are being mistreated. These poor and working class, these poor whites are not being treated much better than these Africans. They said, wait a minute. Dude, what all the money? He's the problem. He's taking advantage of all of us. And there was a rebellion called the Bacon's Rebellion against the wealthy landowners. So what happened? These wealthy landowners said, okay, hold on, wait a minute, time out. We got to come up with something. We got to come up with a con or some kind of hustle, a mind game. So they came up with this concept of whiteness, and they told the white indentured servants, the poor working class whites who were like overseers, who they weren't making any money. They would, like I said, their living conditions damn near as bad as the Africans enslaved. In some cases, probably worse, because the enslaved Africans who were lived in the house lived better than these indentured servants who were white. So they had to come up with this whole concept. Well, see, now you're better than those dark folks. Because see, look, our skin pigmentation, we're white. See, it wasn't such thing as white. Europeans, they weren't calling themselves white. You were from England, from the United Kingdom, or Scotland, and the Irish were looked down upon. The Italians were kind of looked down upon like they were less than. The Germans, absolutely the Jews. So this whole concept, social construct, people call it a social construct. It's just this concept. It's just a made-up bullshit. Like a mind game, like a mind screw, mind F. To make you think that, well, you know, you're better than them. Now, they'll never really, they're not going to invite you into their gated communities in their club. But they'll give you a little more than they're giving the dark folks. Just enough to make you feel a little special. But you'll never, ever get on their level. So these poor white people, along with the enslaved African and the Native Americans, they figured it out. And they rebelled. That's basically what Bacon's Rebellion is all about. So Google it. But here's an example. Now, how do I tie all this into what happened to Tyre Nichols? Just to show you this whole concept of race, this construct, this social construct, this social idea, this like mind screw and control. How do we control these people? George Clinton, the Funketeer, greatest Funketeer of all times, Parliament Funkadelic, had a song, "Free Your Mind and Your Ass Will Follow." I remember, I think it was a legendary pimp, Iceberg Slim, basically said, if you can control a woman's mind, and this applies to men too, if you can control a person's mind, you can get them to do anything and believe anything. So the wealthy landowners made these poor white people who were like living in poverty, made them think that they were better than these Africans who were enslaved, who they oversee. That's where the word overseer came from. They oversaw the enslaved people, had power over them, could abuse them, beat them, made them feel special. But they was never going like on plantations and be able to buy slaves. No, you ain't gonna be on this level. But we're gonna make you think that you got a chance to be on this level because you share this skin pigmentation with us. And we can't stand your ass because you don't have any money. That's what this thing is all about. So to tie it into Tyre Nichols, this horrible, deadly, brutal, inexcusable, inhumane, immoral example is that this whole concept of race is bullshit. Once again, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. These 5 black men who knew what it's like to be in that skin, the skin that Tyre Nichols was in. Because any one of them could be Tyre Nichols. It could have been 5 white officers who might have caught one of those officers off duty in street clothes, pulled him over, and beat him to death. Because we have thousands and thousands, probably millions of examples of unarmed black men and women being shot, murdered, beaten, cases of women raped by abusive, inhumane, out of control police officers who let that power go to their head. These 5 black men. This dude looked like you. This dude could have been your brother. I don't know the ages, but they all looked like they couldn't have been much older or the same age as Tyre Nichols. That could have been any one of them. But they had that uniform on. They had that blue uniform and that badge, and they felt that they were different, that they were better than their own brother. They thought they were special. They thought they were like magical Negroes. Now you're saying, well, Geno, how do you know what they were thinking? I know what this videotape is going to show you, because the police chief and the district attorney's office that charged these men with second-degree murder have told us. The police chief, she has warned the public. She said, this video is going to make you angry. It's horrible. It's inexcusable. It's inhumane. It's going to make you angry. It's going to make you outraged. And you have a First Amendment right to peacefully protest. I'm paraphrasing, but she said, please, we have to make sure that we keep our city safe. In essence, don't burn down the city. I know you pissed off. You're going to be really pissed off, which is why I fired their asses like right there out the gate. It's like, apparently, as soon as she saw this video, she was like, oh, your asses is out of here. And then you're going to make me, a black woman, look bad as if this is the culture. This is the culture that I have condoned and created as the police chief. So she's sending a message. This is not a culture that I condone on my police department. And as long as I'm the chief, and if you engage in this behavior, your ass is out of here. And I'm going to make sure I do everything in my power that you all are convicted, are charged and convicted. She didn't waste any time. Like a day later, all 5 of them, y'all ass is fired. So you can go cry to the police union, which is another problem. Why this police brutality, why these police feel invincible. They feel like they can't be touched. But I'm going to tell you one more time, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it again because I've said it so many times. The way to get people's attention is when you start digging in them pockets. And if you can't appeal to the sense of humanity, compassion, empathy, decency, and morality, especially when we, the public, give you that power and pay you, your job is to serve and protect Everyone. So if you can't handle and use that power in a judicious way or a responsible way, we know how to get your attention. Start digging in your pockets. Get rid of something called qualified immunity. Virtually all police officers operate under this, and that's where voting counts. That's why you got to make sure that you've got people in the United States Senate and in the United States House of Representatives, but you also got to make sure that in your state houses, your governors and your state lawmakers, you got to have people in those positions that will pass laws to eliminate, but it's got to start to eliminate qualified immunity, because that's really like a federal protection. And look, stop, because I can hear you. Well, how come President Biden tried, but you have people like Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema. So that's why you need to go out in even larger numbers to elect people who will get rid of senators and House of Representative members that will eliminate qualified immunity, which means that, so if qualified immunity didn't exist, these 5 police officers could be sued. What's going to happen is that the police department and the city of Memphis is going to be sued on behalf of these police officers. So guess who's going to have to pay Tyrese Nichols' mom and dad, his family? The taxpayers of Memphis that pays the salary of these 5 accused murderers. Or I'm just going to call them what they are, murderers. And just warning everybody, when this videotape comes out, which is supposed to come out no later than tomorrow, if somebody doesn't leak it tonight, it's going to be really ugly. And some people might not want to watch it because it's going to trigger a lot of people. It's going to make you angry, and it's going to piss off a lot of people. And the police chief has already warned you, because she's pissed off, which is why she fired their asses out the gate, right out the door. But if you get rid of qualified immunity, guess who would have to pay the family of Tyrese Nichols? These 5 police officers. Tadarius Bean and Demetrius Haley and Emmett Martin III, Desmond Mills Jr., Justin Smith. That's their names. And all 5 of them, if you didn't have qualified immunity, guess what? It will come out of their police pension. See, that's what they're protecting. That's why they don't want to get rid of qualified immunity, because then you could go after their assets, all their money. Oh, your pension, that nice pension that's going to have $250,000, $500,000 if you work 20, 30 years. I'm going to need you to run that right straight to the Nichols family. Oh, your house, any money you got in the bank, I'm going to need you to run all that over there. When you start digging in these police officers' pockets, that these dirty, brutal, murderous cops, call them what they are. And I'm like, well, Geno, all police we ain't talking about all. We talking about what we miss me with that. Because I know that. But there are too many examples. There are too many examples of this. Just this year alone of unarmed black men that's been shot. I don't even talk about it as much as I used to, because I don't want to continue to trigger people. And I don't want to keep talking about it if I don't have a solution. Even though I have a solution, I can't fix it, but I'm sharing it with you again. That's why voting matters. It matters who you elect as your mayor. You know why? Because most police chiefs are appointed by who? The mayor. So the mayor can make sure that a culture of criminality in a police force doesn't exist, by appointing a police chief and holding that police chief accountable. You need to clean up your department, and the white nationalists and the domestic terrorists and the racists and the bullies and the rapists and the misogynists, their ass got to go. Because if there's any example of this brutality, and this police chief, I can't think of her name right now, she has a reputation of doing what she did. The minute that she sees any officers, because see, look, the body camera don't lie. And it goes to show you just the attitude that these 5 officers had. So they knew that these body cameras were on. And trust me, I know for a fact because I know people in law enforcement. Those body cameras are supposed to be on all the time. So they knew that, wait a minute, we beating this boy to death, this young man to death, and it's all on video. And the police chief is going to see it, and they like, we can edit the tape. And it didn't stop them. So what does that say? They felt so impervious, so invincible, they felt that they were just above the law. I wonder what would make them think that. Yeah, that's another story, but you can kind of figure out where I'm going with that. We got this blue uniform and got this badge. We above the law. But these black officers, here's an example to you. For you black officers that want to engage in this anti-blackness, you can't get away with what the white officers get away with. Even some of them eventually get charged. Now you see more. Just look at what happened with George Floyd. Yeah, the dude, Mr. Knee on the Neck, his ass is sitting in prison right now. And the other 3 officers that didn't do anything about it, their ass is sitting in prison right now. Now, you know what's funny? Addressing these black police officers who engaged in this, Chadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, and Emmett Martin III, and Desmond Mills Jr., and Justin Smith. You know who I ain't heard come to your defense? The police union, the Fraternal Order of Police. That racist ass organization. Yeah, I said it and I meant it because I lived in Chicago. And you can ask anybody in Chicago, one of the most notorious racist organizations is the Fraternal Order of Police in Chicago. And it's a national chapter. They always defend these white officers who are caught on videotape shooting, murdering, beating to death black people primarily. And they always had some lame-ass excuse. Well, you know, the video, you didn't see all the video. You didn't see when it started, and you didn't know what happened before that. And the videotape, don't trust your lying eyes, and blah, 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 blah. They always got some lame-ass excuse defending these white officers when they're caught on camera, killing people, innocent people. But I haven't heard a peep from the Fraternal Order of Police. You know why? Because they don't give a damn about them 5 black officers, because they really don't like their ass anyway, and they really don't want these black officers on the police force anyway, because they want to continue to engage in this culture of brutality and misogyny and sexism. Local police departments were created to oppress and apprehend black people. Free black people. Local policing and local police departments came out of something called the slave patrols, where you had just people that live in communities, they just kind of deputize somebody and say, okay, you're the police. We need you to go and apprehend and capture and bring these black folks and bring them back to the slave masters. Google it. Slave patrols. Don't take my word for it. Find out for yourself. But that's where local policing came out of. So these 5 black officers, they got it twisted. They thought, oh, because we got on this blue uniform, we down with the blue, and blue lives matter. Well, y'all blue lives don't give a damn. That y'all blue lives don't matter, and they've shown it to you. Because your own union hadn't said shit. I hadn't heard a peep from the Fraternal Order of Police. They sitting back like, y'all dumbass. What y'all thought y'all was white? You should go to jail. Give them life. Give them the death penalty. Execute their ass. They just sitting back. They don't care. That's the lesson. You can't do what these white people do. I don't care how much power you think you got. I don't care what your title or status are. It's always going to be a different set of rules. And you all should have known that. And you didn't see that. The fact that you looked at somebody that looked like you or looked like your son and you couldn't see the humanity in this kid. He was only about 150, 60 pounds, 6'3", was a tall, skinny kid. Apparently he had Crohn's disease. He wasn't no big hulking dude. And he was unarmed. And he ran because his spirit, he sensed that his life was in danger. And he ran, and then you all caught him. So his penalty for running, or supposedly, allegedly, reckless driving, where he didn't, what was reckless? There was no report of an accident. There was no report of him hitting anyone, pedestrian, or hitting another car, or driving into a building or a business. So I don't know what you all were on, but you couldn't see the humanity in a man that looked just like your ass. And you beat him worse than you would beat an animal, a stray dog. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. Shout out to everybody watching. Groove Master Dre, I see you, brother. So we're going to see you tomorrow. Groove Master Dre, guest host along with Keela Carson, Weekend Review. It's going to be a hot show. Every show is a hot show. Shout out to my mother, Mary Dixon, my number one fan, my executive producer. I love you, mother, more than life. Happy birthday today to my Aquariuses. Aquariuses, stand up. Kirk Franklin. My man, Kirk Franklin. 53 today, and since we're talking about gospel legends and icons, since I'm talking about gospel legends and icons right now, happy 47th birthday to my man Ty Tribbett. So this was a day of anointing for the Lord. Kirk Franklin and Ty Tribbett born on the same day today, January 26th. Vince Carter, half man, half amazing. Arguably, maybe the greatest dunker, the greatest in-game dunker in the history of basketball. Maybe the greatest dunker ever. Michael Jordan, Dominique, Kobe, Dr. J, David Thompson. But Vince Carter is right at the head of the class. Vince Carter is 46 today. Angela Davis, legendary social justice warrior, activist. She's a professor, an author, just a brilliant woman. She was about that life in the 60s. I remember seeing posters. This beautiful black woman kind of reminded me of my mom. It was about her complexion. Had this big afro. Now, my mother's got beautiful teeth. She didn't have a gap, but, Angela Davis has a gap. But that was like her trademark. Look, we see posters. I may even had an Angela Davis poster as a little kid. She had a fist up that big. Whoever the barber was, she had a great barber because it was perfectly rounded, this big afro. And sister standing there looking good. You could tell she was no nonsense. Angela Davis is 79 today, and Miss Anita Baker, the songstress Anita Baker, 65 today. And on this day, happy heavenly birthday to Bessie Coleman. All right. So for everybody in Florida, y'all got that racist ass Governor Too Short, as I call him. Governor Too Short, DeSantis. Too short. Too short to stop. I know he's banning books, and they can't teach black history and culture for like AP courses, advanced placement courses in high school, which give you like college credit, but you can teach. They got AP courses in like Italian history and German history, and Japanese history, and Spanish history, and European history. So they can have AP. We can teach you about that, high school students, but we can't. Oh my God, we can't teach you about that African American history, culture, and language. So Governor Too Short, You can't stop nothing here. So I got all the CRT, if you want to call it, all the truth about America, because black history is American history. Bessie Coleman, the first black woman with a pilot's license. She went on to be one hell of a pilot. Actually, tragically died a plane crash. She was a co-pilot. Her mechanic was flying a plane, and the plane nosedived. She was thrown out of the plane, and then the plane nosedived, and it crashed, and it killed her mechanic. Bessie Coleman was born on this day in 1892. There's a little black history for you. Couple days early, because Black History Month. And isn't it ironic that they gave us Black History Month in the shortest month, the month that's got the fewest days, the shortest month of the year. Only 28 days. Now, every 4 years, leap year, like next year, it'll be 29 days in February. Only 28 days. They're like, we want to get you Negroes out the way quick. Give them February. Don't give them January. Don't give them July. It's 31 days. Don't give them August. That's too damn long. February? It's only 28 days. We can be done with their ass and keep it moving. It's Black History every day on the Geno Jones Show. So, thank you for letting me be a part of your life. As always, God bless each and every one of you, and especially you. And God, most of all, thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show. I come to you live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. in Chicago, 3:30 p.m. out in Los Angeles. Please subscribe to the Geno Jones Show YouTube channel. Subscribe, share, and binge watch all my back episodes. Share every episode. Share it, screen grab it. Grab about 30 or 60 seconds. Put it up on TikTok, on Instagram, on Twitter, Facebook, or copy and paste the link so you can see the entire show. And send it to everybody. Prayers go out to the family of Tyree Nichols. Rest in peace, young brother. Rest in peace. We'll try to get accountability. Even though these 5 officers, these 5 men who look just like you, they could have been your brother or your uncle, or maybe your dad, but they all looked around like they could have been your brother or maybe an uncle. They didn't see their humanity in you, in somebody that looked just like them. So we're going to pray that the district attorney and the prosecutors in Memphis, Tennessee and Shelby County, Tennessee will get accountability. Because for the family of Tyree Nichols and for Brother Tyree, you can't get justice. Not true justice. Because justice would mean that Tyree Nichols would be with us today. But we pray and we demand accountability. The next live edition of the Geno Jones Show is going to be Friday, 6:30 p.m. My guest hosts are scheduled to be Ms. Keela Carson and Groove Master Dre, our weekend review show. You don't want to miss it. There's always going to be a lot of fun, a lot of fire, a lot of feelings, a lot of fabulous, fantastic foolishness and folly and just good feelings. You like all that alliteration? The alliteration with the F, you know, when you get a lot of words start with the same letter. It's called alliteration. Markel Bailey, the official barber and hairstylist for the Geno Jones Show. He is the CEO of Designer Cuts. Check him out on Instagram, KLB Cutting Up. He's out in Goose Creek, South Carolina. This is part of the Charleston metro area. Instagram, KLB Cutting Up, KELBECUTTINUP. Allie Jones is the drip director, the official fashion consultant, the official wardrobe consultant and stylist for the Geno Jones Show. Check her out on Instagram, lx.ncl underscores that little dash below. lx.ncl underscore dash below. As always, be blessed. Pray for peace. We'll see you live 6:30 p.m. Friday or Friday. We don't call it Friday. We call it Friday. In the meantime, if you missed some of this episode, go back and watch it right now. Go back and binge watch all my back episodes, screen grab some of the show, or copy and paste the link. Send the entire show to everybody. It's not even say everybody, to everyone. Thanks for watching.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of The Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.